This little chip caused me a lot of problems. Now, when I pulled this chip, it was my chance of reviewing something that I normally wouldn't, something that wasn't part of any main line. I thought I explained that well enough at the end of the last video. What I'm looking for when this chip comes up is things like Masterpiece, BotCon Toys, San Diego Comic-Con, Hybrid Style, Robot Masters, Smallest Transformers, or very limited release toys, specialty things. Not any main line, and yet I got a ton of requests for things like Energon and Cybertron toys. Not what this chip is for, guys, so I'm sorry on that one. But as long as there was some confusion, I had a chance to pick something of my own, and I decided, why not something that gets a lot of confusion and controversy every time I mention it? With that in mind, I have chosen the red Exillion from Transformers Galaxy Force. Every time I mention this, I inevitably get comments from people saying, "Oh, I've got that one. I got it at Walmart. You're telling me it's that rare?" Well, no. And I'm going to explain why in this video. The toy you're looking at was only produced in 500 pieces. Only 500 of these things were made. They were sold along with the original Galaxy Force DVD in Japan. So the only way to get one is to pay a bucket load of money or do what I did and find someone who is just pawning it off. That being said, this is such a beautiful figure. I absolutely love this car mode. It's nice and sleek, very much a very, very cool car. It's very earthian and still Cybertronian in a way. Very futuristic in style. Really, really love this. And it helps me being a hot rod fanatic, so all of these details, the yellow on the spoiler and the painted on orange here for the grill, or I guess these are vents actually, scratch that. All of that really helps bring out a lot of hot rod in this mold, and it's a really nice car to do it with. You can see paint apps on the hood, a little here on the side as well, and here on the engine. The pattern on this is going to start looking familiar because it is a total paint swap from the original version. Every little detail has been painted in some other color, but not in the same also in the exact same pattern. Even on the side here, you can see, dark blue for orange. So it was a pretty simple repaint over in Japan. The one that confuses everybody is Excellion, the release in Transformers Cybertron that was an American release. Now, you can see the two are quite identical, but they have a lot of differences here. Most notably, flames instead of the more normal-looking hood. You can also see this in the rear. Exillion, with an I, has the spoiler painted yellow, whereas Excellion just has a little bit of flame. You can also see the engine is painted on this one, not so much here. The other major difference is the translucent color. It is a dark blue here, very light blue here, and that brings out the big change in plastic color, which is the dark gray to maroon. You can see that very clearly through the windshields here. Few paint apps that are different. You can see the headlights are painted as well. This one was released in massive, massive numbers. It is no more valuable than anything released at the deluxe price point in Cybertron. Only 500 made in Japan. That's the difference. So you see, they're very similar. It's easy to get them confused if you have never seen both of them. But here, it's very obvious. They're very different toys. We're focusing on this one, however. This is one of my favorite molds from Cybertron, mostly because of the robot mode. So I think I've mentioned everything I would like to mention. The vehicle mode is very nicely detailed and painted, but is otherwise unremarkable. So we're going to go on to the robot mode. On to robot mode, and here's where you can probably tell a lot easier what the differences are between the two. But before we get to that, let's take one more look over here. Here is Hotshot or the original Exillion, whichever version you have. Yes, the paint apps are identical. You can see the patterns on the legs, the patterns on the chest are all exactly the same from one to the other. Even right here on the forehead where the visors are both unpainted. Though they're different colors. Blue here, yellow here, despite the yellow on the horns. So it gives them a bit of a different profile, which is a nice bonus, if a small one, I guess. But the real one you want to see is the American version, the one you probably have. And yeah, talk about different profiles. You've got gold instead of yellow over here. You've got maroon on the Japanese version, where it is a dark gray on the US. Some of the paint schemes are similar, such as these here on the chest. And they both have the silver on the shoulders, though where the US version brings it up, Exillion brings it in. So it's a little bit of a different profile between the two. Heads are very different as well. You've got a gold visor for the US release, with no horns being painted. Exact opposite over here. Translucent blue visor, yellow horns. You have a different look between the two. And there's a lot of little differences, a lot of little different areas in the paint apps, but all in all, the two end up being quite different from each other. And even in the missile launchers, you can see just how much darker the American blue plastic is compared to the Japanese release. Side by side, there's a stark difference, but I can see where the confusion would come from for everybody. That being said, the mold itself is one of my favorites, as I said. The articulation is nice. It's just what it needs to be. I wish it could go out on the legs a little bit farther, but you get what you need to. You can get some decent poses out of him. And behold, he's a hotshot mold, remember? So, look, shoulders move outward, they move upward. You can actually pose him. Look, elbows! He's got elbows too! Oh my god! This hotshot actually has some articulation to him. Of course, it wasn't really meant to be hotshot to begin with. It's Exillion. And looking at this toy, man, the hot rod homage is so heavy on him. I love it. I mean, they could have gone further, but I'll take what I can get here. It is a very nicely done toy, very beautiful, very, very nice all around. We'll quickly demonstrate. He comes with the Speedia or Velocitron Speed Plan, whatever the hell you want to call this key. The red one. He comes with the red one. Plugging it into the engine on his back makes these little wings flip out. Yeah, it's a pretty simple gimmick. It references Hot Shot a lot more. Now, I will admit, in vehicle mode, this is a little bit more effective. In robot mode, it just kind of brings a little bit more of Hot Rod to him, though neither release managed to paint these things yellow. That was a disappointment all around. Really? You're going to make him Hot Rod, but you're not going to paint the fin yellow. That's just cheap. I don't know, it's a nice simple gimmick. A little bit unremarkable, but, you know, not all of them can be spectacular. At least it's out of the way and doesn't intrude on every single aspect of the toy, unlike some other Hotshot molds. Why do I keep bringing up Hotshot? This is Exillion. This is a toy I actually like, and I would heavily recommend it if it wasn't for the price tag. The last time I saw one of these things on eBay, $200. It is just staggering cost for a deluxe. That's what you get for a toy only released in 500 pieces. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone requesting a BotCon toy, this is rarer than almost every BotCon toy there is. So, yeah, I reviewed a really rare one, and this is one of the best pieces in my collection, one of the proudest ones I own. As a Hot Rod collector, this is the pinnacle. And that being said, this toy is officially reviewed, and hopefully you will no longer be confused about your Walmart purchased Excellion and the red Exillion figure from Japan. And with the review being done, that means bag time. Now this time I promise it will not be nearly as confusing. I will pull a chip out of here that is very clearly defined. Rummage around in my sack. It makes a lot of noise. I apologize. Pull out a chip. And we take a look. Ooh! Transformers Animated. Now that is very simple to figure out now, isn't it? So, any animated toy you want to see, let me know. Hopefully the next one will be up in about a week or so, so you've got till then. Have fun, everybody.
The best place for toys on the net? BigBadToyStore.com. Pre-orders for all the hottest toys. The biggest brands. Imports of your favorites. Vintage toys available again. Collectible replicas and statues. Pile of loot. Buy some now, some later, and get it shipped all at once. It's all there right now at BigBadToyStore.com.
And maroon instead of brown. Wow. Maroon instead of brown. Yep, that's a blooper. Hang on. Let's try that again.